Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. It's Brittany here with another video to help you guys live a happy, healthy, awesome life in a wheelchair. And on today's video, we are talking about an investment tool that people with disabilities, at least here in Canada, can use to get 300% returns on their investment almost immediately. It's called an Rdsp and it is a special investment tool just for people with disabilities to be able to save for their retirement. I invited my friend Brad Bartko to be on the channel to talk about it. He is an investment professional passionate about helping people gain financial literacy. He is going to be joined by his colleague Amanda Portman, and together they are going to talk all about everything you need to know about the Rdsp, how to open it, how much free money you can get from the government, how you're going to get those 300% returns immediately, all that good stuff. So stick around. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to be on my YouTube channel. Amanda Portman is on the bottom there. She is Brad's colleague. She's sort of a specialist in Rdsp, so she's going to talk all about how to open an Rdsp, all of the great things about an Rdsp, all of the things that we're going to need to know. So that's why she's here. And then Brad Bartko is my friend. He has a special relationship with an Rdsp because he also has a disability. So he kind of knows intimately why an Rdsp would be important. I'm going to let both of them sort of tell their story and introduce themselves. So we'll start with you, Brad. You can just talk a little bit about yourself, what your disability is and how you kind of came to the financial industry world. Yeah, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I'm honored and privileged to share the screen, I guess, with two incredible ladies. So it's awesome to be here and to be able to talk about something I'm so passionate about. But as Brittany said, my name is Brad Bartko. I'm 28 years old, born and raised in Edmonton. I was born with a disability called CP. So for long term, that's cerebral palsy. So for me, there's many different variations. But for me, it affects the bones and the muscles in my body. There's basically a blockage on one side of my brain that tells the body to walk, talk, all that stuff, and it affected my motor skills. So I use a wheelchair full time to move around. I became involved in the financial field, I guess, very young. I was 21 years old. A friend of mine phoned me up. He's no longer, of course, moved on to bigger and maybe better things for him. But he phoned me and said, "Hey, man, I'm in the financial field. I think you'd be a great fit. You need to come see what I'm doing." And at that point, really my options were open. Like I had nothing else, I was sitting at home getting married, in about a year. And my wife's like, "Man, like, get the hell out of the house. Like, you're driving me crazy."
Exactly, right?
So I showed up to an open house, and really I didn't know what to expect. I had no financial experience. I didn't even know how to, spell tax-free savings account or RDSP. I didn't even know they existed. And I showed up and it really opened my eyes. I'm like, if I don't know this stuff and
Yeah.
the people around me don't know this, how many others are in my situation and in my boat, if not worse, maybe some new. I didn't know, but I wanted to be that stopgap between my friends and family succeeding and not succeeding. I was working away, grinding away, doing my thing, helping clients, and all of a sudden I got approached by somebody else in the office. Um, Not Amanda at the time. Now I know, me and Amanda are very close, but there was another lady that specialized in RDSP on her team as well. And she goes,
Yeah.
"You ever heard of a registered disability savings plan?" And I go, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah. What is that?
Right? Like, what is that? Teach me your ways. All I heard was disability.
Yeah.
What is it? So she explained it to me a little bit, and there was knowledge there. And I set it up for myself. I'm like, this is great. The grants from the government getting, there's, and Amanda will get more into detail there, but there's some grants from the government they give you, they match, it's like 3 to 1. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I put money away and saving. It's great, getting in that habit, because before I wasn't saving. I didn't have anything set up. So
Yeah.
getting that habit of putting, $100 away or whatever it was, and because if I could do it, I knew my clients could do it. When you're sitting kneecap to kneecap to somebody or via Zoom and you're able to help somebody that you truly care about, and see tears rolling down somebody's face because you helped them out of a position, or you helped them save money, or you
Yeah.
have a better product or whatever, that is what it's all about. For me, my job is done when it gets to that point. I love those things. I love that aspect of that. Again, it's not about selling. It's not about the
Yeah.
money for me. It's about leaving impact and making a difference. And for me, that's, and especially with an RDSP, that's how we can do it.
Yeah, totally. I know. I was amazed when I found out about the Rdsp too. I'm like, are you telling me I can make 300% on my own money in like a day? And yeah, I'll sign me up. So yeah, it's such a cool investment tool. So I'm so excited to get into it. But first, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on here. Yeah, just if you want to kind of give us a little rundown of who you are and how long you've been in the industry, or what what your favorite part about being in the industry is, I'd love to hear it.
For sure. Thank you so much. It is an honor. I mean, I don't know you, but for you to know Brad just tells me that, you're good people. My name's Amanda Portman. I've been in the industry now for 10 years, or it'll be 10 years in October. And it kind of just fell on my lap. I was actually in Africa doing a missions trip at the time that a good buddy of mine, I used to want to be a cop back in the day and, save the people of the streets. And he reached out to me because he was already in the industry. And similar to Brad, I went out to just an information night and I fell in love with the mission of our company, which essentially is no family left behind.
Oh.
And I'm to this day as spicy and fired up and loving what we do to teach families and teach Canadians like the simple concepts of insurance and investments and the stuff that's really scary that nobody ever teaches us unless you have really great role models and parents in finance. And that's just not always the case. I'm passionate about being in the finance industry. I never thought I was. I never played in the sandbox and like, I'm going to be a financial advisor when I grow up. Like,
yeah, exactly right.
A police officer and a paramedic, and I wanted to be, all these like awesome roles. And yet I'm in the finance industry, and I still feel like I'm like the doctor to finance, or So I'm always passionate about serving families, and specifically with the Rdsp.
Yeah.
I was growing up, my oldest brother had a spinal cord aneurysm, so he became quadriplegic and ventilator dependent when I was 6 and he was 10. Unfortunately, 10 years later, he did pass away and he's no longer with us. But this program didn't exist at the time. And one thing that I just truly believe, whether it's a physical disability or mental or emotional or whatever form of disability that a Canadian can qualify for this program, it warms my heart. It's almost like, and it sounds silly, like Brad was talking about, like, the tears roll down clients' cheeks, and it's just like you cry with them and you're so excited that you get to be an integral part of their life, in a sense, to support them and give them hope. The ones that lost hope because they're in a lot of debt, or the ones who have disabilities, who are on an extremely limited income, and no one's ever taught them that you can get government grants and bonds, and so in my heart, I'm in the right place, and we're serving a lot of Canadian families that don't know that these programs exist, and I'm super passionate about it. I don't think that passion is ever going to go away. Like, I've met strangers, and within 5 minutes, they've told me, like, you really love what you're doing. I'm like, bingo.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you need. That's what you really need to help people change their lives. And especially for families that have, kids with disabilities, this really can change the trajectory of somebody's life as they age and their parents, pass on and things like that. It really makes a difference. So we've teased people enough about like this amazing investment tool and 300% returns on your investment. So let's start talking about it. People are like, what is it? Like, how do I do it now? Okay, so I have a list of questions, so we'll just go through them. So first off, what the heck is an Rdsp? What is that even?
So a Rdsp is a registered disability savings plan. It's designed to help and support families who have a disability that is government approved to qualify for the program, to save for your future. This is not by no means short-term investing. This is not money to buy a house, to buy a car. This is money to support individuals who have a disability for their retirement specifically.
Okay, so that's a good one because there's like a lot of people are like, whoa, this is a really good amount of money that I'm able to get, these grants and stuff like that. But then when you realize later on, we'll talk about it, when you're actually allowed to like take the money out, you realize real quick that it's very much a retirement investment tool, which is, you know, in some people's eyes might be very bad. But when you're getting the amount of money that you're getting from the government, you're not going to get that in any investment ever in any other thing. So just keep that in mind for all of you that are like, oh, wait, I can't, you know, take it out till I'm retired. So just want to put that out there because some people are very skeptical about things that, you know, are controlled. And so, yeah, there's that carrot, right, to keep you motivated. Okay, so who qualifies for the RDSP? So we already talked about it's for people with disabilities. Do you have to be in a wheelchair? Do you have to have like some sort of severe disability? How do you qualify?
So a couple different things. Firstly, you do need to be a Canadian resident. You have to be less than 60 years old to open up an RDSP. One point I do want to make a strong mention on is that the government bonds and grants, they will pay into your RDSP until the beneficiary reaches the age of 49 years old. That's the last year you can get free money or qualify for free money from the government in the form of grants or bonds.
Okay.
So you can open an account after that, but at that point in time, it almost, for most circumstances, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So Canadian resident, less than 60 years old, you need to have a valid social insurance number, and you also need to be eligible for the disability tax credit. And so essentially what that is, that's a non-refundable tax credit that helps people with disabilities and their supporting families or persons reduce the amount of income tax that they have to pay due to medical expenses and things of that nature. So first and foremost, you need to have your disability tax credit. There's no way you can get an RDSP without having one of those. If you already own a disability tax credit, you're good to go. You can apply for an RDSP. If you don't have a disability tax credit, there is a government form that you need to fill out with your doctor. So there's a couple of different qualified practitioners that you're able to go to that can help you fill out this form, whether it's your medical doctor, an optometrist due to vision, occupational therapist, audiologist, physiotherapist, psychologist, or a speech language therapist. Those are just a few qualified practitioners that are able to consent and fill out that government T2201 form that's required from a qualified practitioner's signature to actually let the government know what form of disability do you have. It does not need to be strictly physical in a wheelchair. There are specified requirements, which I won't get into too much detail today, but there's individuals who have a severe form of where they're not able to hear, or they're not able to see, and they have, you know, a specified amount of blindness. So there is specific requirements, but it does not need to be strictly physical.
Okay, I'll throw a link in the description too of the YouTube video of that form that needs to be filled out, and then a link to that shows who qualifies for the disability tax credit, because there's a long list. Even people with like Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, like there's certain things like that that are on it as well that you wouldn't think are like, you know, quote unquote a disability, but that you can qualify with. So I'll throw that link in the description below so that people can go there, because of course we don't have time to talk about all of that in this video. So okay, so now let's talk about like the benefits of the RDSP. So like we were talking about those grants and those bonds. So what is this free money that the government is giving with this investment tool?
Wonderful. I'd love to share this part. It's the most exciting part. Okay, so there are two forms that the government comes in and aids with an RDSP. The first one's called a disability savings grant. Now, what that is, it's a matching grant that the government is going to deposit into the beneficiary's RDSP to help you accumulate savings into your plan. And so how the grants work is they're based on two factors. They're based on the amount that you contribute into your plan, and it's based on family net income. So
Okay.
as of 2020, the family net income to qualify for the max amount of grants you can receive was you had to receive up to $97,069. So 97,069. So if you received 97,000 net or less, meaning those are physical dollars in your bank account.
Is that gross? Is that gross or?
That's net.
Oh,
After
net. Okay, that's even better.
It is. And so what the government classifies as family net income. So if we're talking about a child who has a disability,
Yeah.
then it, essentially the income is classified that of his or her mom and dad combined.
Oh, okay, or legal guardians or whatever.
Or legal guardians combined. It's basically the way they look at it is from a CRA perspective, who like, are they in a marital status? And if they are, then they claim both incomes together.
Okay, makes
If
sense.
you're
Yeah.
an adult like Brad and married, they're going to consider wife and husband's income combined. Okay. So if you're single, they just go based on your income.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So family net income is, if it's a child, it's that of his or her parents. If they're age of majority, the family net income is a beneficiary and his or her spouse. Okay. So to get full max amount of grants, if your income was basically that 97,000 net or less, what happens is the government will come in and they'll contribute 300% on the first $500 that you contribute into the plan. Yeah. Then they'll contribute 200% on the next 1,000. So let's say best case scenario, you put in $1,500 a year, which is roughly about 125 bucks a month.
Yeah.
You put that in and your income is below that 97,000, then the government's going to match $3,500 in
Wow.
1 year.
Wow.
If income is above that $97,000 threshold, the government will still match. It just won't be that 300%. They will match 100% of the first $1,000 that you contribute.
Okay.
So that's how the grants side of things works. Once again, just to remind you, grants, the government only pays into these plans until the age the beneficiary reaches 49. After that, you don't qualify for any more grant money. And then the lifetime amount of grants that you can ever receive is $70,000 max. I'm not saying that's guaranteed that everybody's going to get 70,000. That obviously depends on your contribution and your income.
Yeah.
But in a lifetime of owning this plan, you can get up to $70,000 worth of grant money from the government.
Which is crazy. It's insane. There is nothing else, I don't think, anywhere in North America like this. It's such a crazy, amazing thing that we have here in Canada that I hope I'm going to send this link to everybody that I know that has a disability, and I hope they send it to everybody that they know, because it's just an amazing amount of money that the government is willing to contribute to help people live a better life in their retirement, so that they're not, stuck in that poverty trap, or, living in an assisted living home, just not being able to do anything or have anything.
I did want to add another quick detail in regards to the second form that the government comes in and deposits money into these accounts. So the first one was a grant that was based on your contribution and your income. Now, bonds are a completely different avenue where the government comes in and puts money into the Rdsp plan. And it's not based on contribution. The only thing it's based on is family net income. So the bond is more designed for families who do have a lower income coming in. And so how the bond works is if your income is below the $31,711 CRA threshold, if your income is below that, then the government will literally automatically deposit $1,000 per year into your Rdsp as long as you're below that income threshold. Okay.
Wow. So some people who couldn't afford, I have a disability, or my child has a disability, but we are so low income that we can't even afford a monthly contribution. The government will literally contribute for you.
Yes. And if your income is below $31,711 and $48,535, so if your income is below or in between that number, then the government will come in and they'll put your income in their special formula, and then they'll tell you of the $1,000 this is how much you qualify for. And they literally every single February 24th, all my clients get their bond money deposited into their accounts automatically. So this isn't something we have to apply for every year. It's done right off the hop when you open up an application. The other thing to know, and I'm sorry, and then I'll let you talk. The other thing, with the grants, you know how you were mentioning, not everybody has the funds to deposit into these plans. One of the most remarkable things with RDSPs is that the plan holder, so whoever's the owner, in Brad's case, it's Brad, you know, in a family's case where the child is the beneficiary, then the parents are the plan holder. If they don't have a huge source of income to contribute into these plans, the plan holder signs a special document saying they give these individuals authority to contribute into the RDSP on their behalf. So let's say you have a grandma or a cousin or an aunt or an uncle who want to support somebody with getting all these like benefits and matching grants and stuff like that, but the family doesn't have the funds. As long as the plan holder signs off on this special document, they could literally list the neighbor. Like there's no restrictions who can contribute into somebody else's RDSP, which we're in the investment industry. That does not exist in any other investing contract in Canada at all. My dad can't come and contribute into my TFSA or my RSP. I got to do that. But he could contribute into an RDSP if he wanted to. So wanted to make that point because I do feel like sometimes there's family members that do want to help and contribute. And that's a beautiful way where you can still get those matching grants from the government.
That is, I didn't know that. That's amazing. And for, especially for families that are really low income, or even if a grandparent, you know, like of a child with a disability wants to do something like that, you know, while they're still alive to help them with have a better future. Like that's just a beautiful way to do that. Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool. Okay, so we talked about the government. We talked about the grants and the bonds. What are the contribution maximums in terms of like your contribution maximum, or is there no contribution maximums per year? Because I know for like other investment tools like RRSPs and TFSAs, there's contribution maximums. Is there something like that for RDSPs?
Great question. So there's no annual limit for RDSP contributions, but there's a lifetime limit. So the lifetime limit you can contribute into an RDSP is $200,000, which oftentimes doesn't happen, but there is a rare case where somebody got an injury from a accident and they got a lawsuit payout or insurance payout or something, and then they do have those extra funds to contribute to their RDSP.
That is a really cool option because there are many people who do get an insurance settlement of some kind, and being able to put all of those funds in all at once without any penalties or anything like that is really handy because it's safer there, and it's, you know, you can automatically put it there for your retirement so that it doesn't go elsewhere, or, you know, I don't know, God knows what people do with their money when they get it right away. So it's a good thing to be able to
It's not good.
put it somewhere safe. Okay, so the next question is, what kinds of things can you invest in when your money is in an RDSP? Like, are there specific things that you're allowed to invest in? Like, are you only allowed to invest in mutual funds, or can you invest in whatever you want?
Good question. From my professional standpoint and from what my knowledge is, I believe it has to be a mutual fund. I do not think that RDSPs are available on a segregated fund platform yet. I think there is talks that could happen down the road. But as of right now, they're strictly, from my understanding, mutual funds. That's why I have my license to be able to offer RDSPs, because not everybody has their securities license to do them. So yes, mutual funds. And secondly to that, as to where you can invest within the mutual fund platform, there is an incredible amount of options. You can get your money growing, like growth. If you like to take a lot of risk, you can go in a fund that's going to give you a lot of potential for growth. Or if you're like, I don't want to lose any money and I'm super conservative, you can invest that way too. The amount of funds that are available within the mutual fund platform for the companies that I specifically work for that offer these plans, there's so many options to satisfy any person's taste to investing.
Yeah. Okay. So this maybe leads to my next question, because I know that like I just recently figured out that TD has a self-directed RDSP account. So I'm currently moving my funds from my other one that was with my financial, I can't even remember where it was with. I had a financial advisor. He did all that stuff. So I'm moving it, but I hadn't yet done anything with the fund. So I wasn't sure whether I could invest in mutual funds or what I can actually invest in once I get my funds in that self-directed option. But I believe, and I don't know if you know any different, that TD is the only place that you can do a self-directed RDSP. And that any other bank like Royal Bank or anything like that, or like your guys' organization, like you have to go to somebody to open an RDSP on your behalf, kind of thing.
Yeah, so here's the thing is I actually don't know. I never heard that before, but I think that's great for people who want to be super involved and they want to pick their own stocks and whatnot. I find that the average Canadian gets stressed out by it and they don't want to.
Don't know. Yeah.
Attached to their money, and then they're like, it went up, and then it went down, and then oh my god, like, but that's great. Like, that is great news for me to learn. I mean, these plans are so crazy diverse. There's so much to them.
Yeah.
Great to hear that is an option for the people who are super eager to want to do it themselves. But you are right. When you come invest with someone like myself, we do use specific platforms, and they're fun platforms that are available to invest in.
Exactly. And as far as my knowledge, that's the only one. But I think it must be fairly new, because even my financial advisor wasn't aware of any self-directed options until I started looking into it. And it's been a process. So I don't think it's like really like well-oiled and stuff, because it's supposed to take like 8 weeks or something to get like the funds transferred over. It's crazy. Or maybe that's just normal. I don't know. I'm not in the financial industry. So transferring any kind of funds, I'm like, why is it taking so long? I don't get it. But so yeah, it is cool for people that want to do their own thing. But I know for myself that like I've been learning about investing for like a year and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm going to try, but we'll see. Okay. So, so now that we've talked about all of that stuff, how do we actually open one? So if somebody's like, I'm so excited, this is an awesome thing, what do I do? Like, do I have to go to a specific place? Can I go to any bank? Are there a whole bunch of financial institutions that offer this, or is there just specific ones? Like, how do I open one? Where do I go?
That's an amazing question. And I'm just going to be super transparent with all of you because I love all you, even though I haven't met you. Not all financial institutions offer RDSPs. Now, I don't know the list off the top of my head as to who doesn't and who does. I know TD does offer RDSPs. I know BMO does RDSPs, but not all major banks do them. So to open one up, you have to find obviously your institution or check in with your institution if they do offer them. Now, at the end of the day, that's what Brad and I are here for, is to really help Canadians open up. It's really not hard to open one up, but here's what I've found is that I have had clients who went to their institution and said, I want to open up an RDSP because they qualified. That financial advisor had no idea what it was. They told the client to go do their own homework. And when they learned about how they work, to come back to that advisor to set up their account. So, and I'm also finding that clients who have RDSPs at the bank, they're not growing great for the client. I've seen 0.02 of 1%.
Oh, that's so bad.
1%. And this is just in the last 2 weeks alone. I've seen accounts sitting at 0%. And so the concern I have is if you go to your institution is a lot of those individuals don't have their securities license to know what they're offering. And so just be mindful of that. I'm not bashing the banks in any way. Just get proper knowledge. And honestly, if you do want extra information, that's what Brad and I are here for. If you were to be my client and come sit down with us, we would do all the work with you. We would open up your account. We would do the paperwork. We would send off your application for the grants and bonds on your behalf. The biggest part that you would be a part of is the signing process, saying, yes, you want to authorize opening up an RDSP, and yes, you want to access all the free money from the government that you can. So we do that together, and we do that on your behalf after you leave our office or a Zoom meeting. And after you sign the documents, we take everything over for you. So,
and the wonderful thing about your guys' company is that you're all over Canada. I'm correct, right? So if there's somebody in like Nova Scotia or something that's like, oh, I see this video and I'm super interested. I don't know if you can open it. I don't know if you're limited to Alberta or what, but there are people that you could connect them with to help open their thing. And this is another question. I'm just curious because I don't know, but I think you guys will visit your clients' homes. Am I correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So banking, like if you're going to go to your bank, you definitely have to go into the bank. There's no, you can't call up your bank and be like, can you send a financial advisor to my house? But I do believe that you guys are more willing to sort of accommodate people with disabilities in that regard. So I will definitely put a link to connect with both of you in the description below, so that if people are like, hey, I need to get an Rdsp and I want somebody from World Financial Group to help me, then they know where to find you guys. So I'll make sure that I put a link so that they can connect with you guys. Okay, so my last question, and this is one I was just curious about because I was thinking about this. I'm like, what happens if this family spends, 30 years contributing to an Rdsp, it's collected all of this money, and then the person passes away? Where does that money go? Where does that grant money go?
Great question.
Yeah, that is one of the most common questions we get. And I mean, there's so many more questions that we're not going to be able to address today.
Yeah.
In regards to that one, what happens when someone passes away is that the Rdsp is let me be clear. When the beneficiary of the Rdsp passes away, the Rdsp collapses, okay? And so what happens is there's a 10-year hold on any of the government bonds or grants that beneficiary received. So in the event that there was any bond money or any grant money deposited into the Rdsp in the previous 10 years before death, that money goes back to the government.
Okay.
All of your contributions, all of the growth, and all of the bond or grant money that you received previous to that 10 years, what happens is the investment company, whether it's your bank or with us, with what are our investment institutions, they literally write a check in the amount that you qualify for, and they write it to the estate of the beneficiary. Because with an Rdsp, you do not get to list a beneficiary who gets your money, because or that person is the beneficiary. So when the beneficiary passes, the company writes a check to the estate of and the beneficiary's name. So that's why it's super important for our clients to know that it's really important to have a will, so that
they know
you decide as an individual, when this money comes into your state, who do you want to have it? Because for the Rdsp, you do not list a beneficiary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I actually had one more question that I didn't write down. I had it on my notes, but then I rewrote my notes. And I was just like, when people are ready to take it out, when they retire, how does that work then? Is it just like an RSP where it goes into, and I can't even remember the name of it, but where it's you can decide how much you want every month kind of thing?
Good question. At 60, the government makes you start withdrawing out of your Rdsp.
Okay.
You're forced to. It doesn't convert into a different contract. It's still your Rdsp. So it doesn't convert like an RSP would into a RIF.
Okay.
So your Rdsp still stays an Rdsp, but the government makes you start withdrawals at age 60. And there's a formula the government uses. There's a minimum amount that you're forced to pull out every single year. And there's a formula the government uses. It basically uses the value of your account divided by 3 plus, life expectancy, which the government at this time claims as 80 years old, minus your current age. And when you use that formula, it's going to spit out a number as to what you have to withdraw to your Rdsp. And that's going to change yearly as you get older, because that's part of the formula. And then the second form that you can withdraw, there's a max amount that you can take out too. So you can't just,
yeah,
you can't just have $200,000 in your RDSP at age 60 and pull out $200,000. Okay, so the max amount you can withdraw is up to 10% of the fair market value of your plan in that year. So for example, if you had $200,000 in that plan, the max amount you could take out would be $20,000 in that year.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. And I guess, like, you know, having a bit of control over it makes a lot of sense, because the government wants people to be able to keep their money for as long as possible. This is a really amazing investment tool that, like, we have here in Canada. And, you know, when you look at like the $200,000 maximum, it kind of, like, if you were to think about it in terms of like RSPs, it kind of seems like it's a little small for the maximum amount, but just the amount of money that you get from the government makes it, you know, irresistible. Like, you're never going to get 300% return on your money in any investment, or not at least guaranteed, right? And this is guaranteed 300% return on your investment, and it's kind of a no-brainer. So thank you guys so much for coming on and doing this. If there's anything like that you think I forgot that's like essential that you want to say, you know, any last words?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having us on. And then just again, the importance of having options, I think, is key for Canadians, and making sure you shop around. And if there's anything we can do, obviously let us know, and we'd be happy to help. So we're here to change the world.
Definitely. Change. Financial literacy is definitely the way now that, you know, we need to change the world, because God knows we don't learn that stuff in school. So you need people like these people to help you learn. So again, thank you guys so much. Wow, that was some amazing information. Thank you so much to Brad and Amanda for being on the channel. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button. And if you have not subscribed, I would love you to be a subscriber. And if you have any questions at all about anything we talked about in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. If I cannot answer them, then I will pass the question along to Brad or Amanda and answer them as best I can after I've asked them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye.